And everything that the council, the vice chancellor, the faculty, and the students are doing today, we can look back 25 years from now and say everything they've done has been sustained and improved upon, and that's the only foundation we can build on. So once again, I thank you for this honor. I hope I did not fail you too much. And I have become, whether you like it or not, an honorary lion of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Thank you.
Thank you. A standing ovation for our distinguished lecturer and honorary lion. The lions and lionesses are welcoming you.
his footstool. And once again, put your hands together for our distinguished lecturer, Mr. Mustafa Chike Obi.
You can do better than that. Thank you. You may be seated. Our distinguished lecturer is a very simple man and down to earth. And his lecture is quite thought-provoking. I hope you listened well. Fortunately, we have copies of his lecture. And I listened to him and I opened the page and I began to read. I think the last page where he said that oil is cheap. But unfortunately, it has inculcated in us the culture of cake sharing instead of cake baking. I marked it. Cake sharing instead of cake baking. Thank you, Mr. Mustafa Chike Obi. Permit me to specially recognize Dr. Ifeanyi Okoye, MNI OFR, the Managing Director and CEO, Juhel Nigeria Limited. I've been directed to invite for the address by the Honorable Minister of Education, our highly respected chairman of today's occasion, His Excellency Ambassador Plenipotentiary, Chief Actor, C.I. Mbanefo, for the Honorable Minister's address. I've been directed, sir, to invite you. Been directed by the Vice Chancellor to invite you, sir.
Actually, I'm not to read the Vice and the Minister's speech. I have been elevated, not the Minister's speech. What I'm going to read to you is actually the address by His Excellency, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. GCFR, visitor to the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, on the occasion 52nd Founders Day celebration held on 4th October 2012. The Executive Governor of Enugu State, ably represented by the Honorable Minister of Education, Enugu State, Pro-Chancellor and Chairman of Council of the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and members of Council, the Vice Chancellor, members of Senate, deans and faculty. Ndieze, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, lions and lionesses, I am pleased to be in your midst today as you celebrate another milestone in the history of this great institution. The celebration of your 52nd Founders Day serves as a further confirmation that this university has come of age. You all deserve commendations for setting aside a day like this to honor the founding fathers whose vision led to the founding of this legacy institution. It is indeed a day of joy, not only for the staff and students who are the current custodians of this vision, but also for the many alumni who have earned the prestigious degrees of this university over the years. We are all familiar with the unique vision and courage that led our first president, the Right Honorable Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, a great son of Africa, to found this university on the eve of Nigeria's independence. As Nigeria's first indigenous university, the University of Nigeria was charged, amongst other things, to produce the necessary manpower needed to build the newly independent state of Nigeria and the rest of Black Africa. It is noteworthy that the university has lived up to this mandate, and in doing so, earned an enviable reputation of excellence. Over the years, the University of Nigeria has also pioneered the development of many of the unique features of this country's university system and has contributed significantly to the development of curriculum and the training of personnel for younger institutions in the country. These accomplishments should form a major part of what we are celebrating here today, and I'm truly happy to be a part of it. My presence here today is also a further demonstration of the importance our administration continues to attach to education in the country. As part of the transformation agenda, government is committed As part of the transformation agenda, government is committed to improving access to education and providing additional infrastructure to ease overcrowding in schools, as well as improving the quality, competence, efficiency, and commitment of teachers and other personnel involved in education. This is because if we must derive the optimum benefit inherent in our huge population, we must transform a higher proportion of this population from unskilled to skilled manpower. In truth, our population will not count for much if most of us are uneducated, unskilled, and unproductive. Thus, to grow as a nation, we must improve on the number of Nigerians that have access to good quality education at all levels. This was what informed the decision of the federal government to establish 6 new universities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. In addition, the older universities have been encouraged to increase their carrying capacity, while the first-generation universities have also been directed to increase their ratio of postgraduate to undergraduate students. I am aware that these additional responsibilities would require additional investments in infrastructure, and government would continue to make additional funds available to universities for infrastructural upgrade believing that the funds will be deployed prudently and wisely. To this effect, I want to express my satisfaction with the management of the University of Nigeria for the bold attempts they have taken to improve the state of infrastructure and scholarship at the university. Worthy of mention are the ICT infrastructure, including the robust, ubiquitous, always-on Wi-Fi, the new Center for Environmental Management and Control, the International Scholars Village, as well as the new Vocational and Technical Education Building. Others are the renovation of the buildings housing the Personnel Services Unit, Public Relations Unit, the Departments of Economics and History, the Faculty of Law Building, and the new School of Postgraduate Studies Building. I'm also aware that construction work has commenced at the new Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences Building, a new ICT data center, and the new administration building for Enugu campus, while work will soon start on a new Central Biotechnology Laboratory Clinical Diagnostics Center and the Institute of African Studies building, among many others. It is additionally heartwarming that some of these projects have been made possible by the relentless drive of the administration to solicit funds from individuals and corporate bodies, and not just the government. This commendable achievement is a clear reflection of the current trend in the management of higher tertiary institutions all over the world. It is my wish that this healthy trend will continue in this and other institutions across our country. It is my hope and prayer that the staff and students of the University of Nigeria will continue to create a peaceful and harmonious environment in which this kind of development can continue to thrive. Finally, I congratulate you all on your Founders' Day anniversary, while commending the management of the university for sustaining this enviable tradition of honoring the founding fathers of the university. It is a noble thing to do. As a nation, it is important that we remember the great sacrifices of our forebearers. Only then can we truly sing the labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain, as we join hands to restore the dignity of man. I thank you. So says not me, but His Excellency President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, GCFR, by the grace of God, visitor to this university and the President of Nigeria. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Chief Ato Mbanifo Udu of Onitsha. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have a beautiful 52nd Founders' Day cake before us. with our traditional colors of green and white. Sorry for that break in transmission, and thank you, Music Department, for filling in the gap. We have listened to the lecture and the address of the visitor to this university. I want to respectfully hand over the microphone to the chairman to make some comments and invite comments on the lecture delivered by the distinguished lecturer.
Thank you, Madam Orator. The lecturer, of course, would like one or two questions, if any, on the subject. After I have made one or two observations, as I promised in my opening remark that I would take a question from that end there, and two from here, one, just as you are divided, one from there, one from there, the same from the faculty, members, deans, and all that, and everyone there, and then here. So we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions, short, precise, to the point. If you start dancing around, I'll cut off the thing and ask you to sit down with respect, of course. Now, what I just would like to say first and foremost is to thank our distinguished lecturer and the university management for choosing a subject that is so apropos our situation as at today. The lecturer, of course, is currently working for government, and he has been exceptionally diplomatic in his presentation. But he said it all. And that's the difference. He said everything that needed to be said about sustainability of our lives, our infrastructure, the foundation of that which he recognizes as education. And making this statement, being the first he's making since he became a man and returned back to inherit his father's position as Professor Emeritus in mathematics in Nigeria. He's yet, after this NANCON, I think you are coming to UNILAG. But I think we'll bring you here first. Whatever I say, we'll bring him here as an honorary lion. Anyway, the thing that I wanted him to underline it as plainly as he could was that the way we are going is not the right way. What we are seeing in our lifestyle, in all we are doing, is the result of corruption. Corruption in high places, corruption in low places, corruption all over the place. That it took me 3 hours to come from Onitsha on a federal highway to Enugu, which normally takes 1 hour. That is corruption. Big one. And so on I don't blame those who are in government, with due respect, sir. But we must, as the visionaries that established this university did, put each and every one of us in the center of whatever you do. A government that does not have interest in its own people would not last. And that becomes the issue of sustainability. You have to endear the people. The lecturer told me that one of the things that struck him most, he arrived here yesterday and was being taken around the university to show him the efforts of management. That notwithstanding, what struck him was what he perceived as the respect that was accorded the leader of that management team as they moved around, how people responded to him. If Professor Bato Okolo had not led the team as he has done, nobody is going to respect him. People will look the other way when he's coming and pretend that they didn't see him. So the subject is very brilliant thing, and equally timely. In 1999, when the Fourth Republic was born, we went out to reach out to the world. And what President Obasanjo kept saying to the world at large was that Nigeria had been going in the opposite direction that it ought to be traveling, but that now we have found that we are going in the opposite direction. And having found it, it is only wise that we should head in the right direction that we intended in the first instance. The Onitsha man said, if you don't know where the rain started beating you, you won't know when it stopped beating you. I think we need to understand that we have gone too far in the wrong direction. People are talking of 2015 and all type of thing. I attacked my friend Chief Patrick about this morning and say, you politicians. He said, have you gone that way? I say, yes. If I don't say what I have to say about politicians and Nigerian governments today at 83, I will never have the opportunity of saying it again. And my son may not be as bold as I am. To tell you to your face, it's time to go back. Go back and start afresh. We have to go back, and that is what the lecture is all about. That's why it's been said here. The fact that since the lecturer came into Nigeria, he has refused to accept invitation to speak on any subject outside AMCON. And for him to accept to start here in the university setting, a center of education, a center of excellence, where you have special powers, more than the churches that are springing up in all warehouses and abandoned properties in Nigeria, that you should be able to talk to the young and to the old alike. The young lions and lionesses, go out and stand your ground. When they are bad, don't vote for them. Period. And speak up. That is what academia is about. That's what being in the university is about. Knowledge. Open your minds. Something is going wrong, you don't understand it. Ask questions. Mr. Lecturer, thank you for dealing with that subject. as well as you've done. Nigerians used to have bottles of champagne with their names not only on paper, wrapping it, but engraved on the bottle. I'll take the first question from there. Yes, young man. You mention your name. If you're a student, you say you're a student. If you are a visitor like me, say so. And we know who you are. Thank you.
Good day, Mr. Chairman. I'm Nebedumo Kechuku from Geology Department. Good day, Mr. Chairman. I'm Nebedumo Kechuku from Geology Department, UNN. My question is very simple. I want to first of all know whether there is a development in Nigeria to be sustained. And if it is not there, how could we mobilize the nation to have a development, first of all, before we talk about sustenance? Thank you.
Thank you. We take about 2 or 3, yes. Yeah, we take about 2 or 3. We will take about, I think we take all this side and he'll respond, and then we take all this side and he'll respond. I'll take one from where the Reverend Sister is. That row. Nobody there. Anyone here? Okay. You are a latecomer, huh? No, we give the lioness. Yes, lady. Here. It's a lady right here. And then after the lady, you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm from Ministry of Education, Press Unit. The sustainability lecture is strong. But if a nation fixes salaries for its senators, its rep, and it's so fat, and this salary, we cannot sustain it, how can that nation move forward? And how can we go back to a sustainable, maybe a sustainable pay package for our senators and rep, so that the drain on the economy will stop? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'm Reverend Dr. Collins. I'm a priest and a lecturer in this university. I want to ask, sir, this failure of sustaining any development in Nigeria, is it a Nigerian problem? Is it in our culture? Or was it introduced by our colonial masters? And I want to go further to say, do you think that Nigeria as a nation would one day summon courage to begin to articulate their programs in a sustainable manner? Now, let me give another question. As a priest now. It's okay. So you take 2, eh?
You are a lecturer, you want to go on and go on.
I think that would be a sustainable questions I would have asked us.
Okay, I'll take the Reverend first. Whether it's cultural or whether the colonial masters induced it upon us, is really doesn't matter. We have a problem, we need to fix it. However it came about. If it's cultural, then we need to fix it. If it was imposed, then we need to remove the imposition. So I think we should face the problem and sort it out. You're asking me about what I would think in the future. I think that with the people here today, look, it's no accident that somebody like me is holding the job that I'm holding. I will tell you that Mr. President has had many people go to him and say, How did you give this man this kind of job? He doesn't belong to a political party. You never knew him. He didn't lobby for the job. How did that happen? So I think that things are changing gradually, one at a time. So I'm very optimistic about Nigeria. I think that we will overcome our problems if we work together. But I mean work together. You, everybody else here. Do not vote for the man that comes and gives you rice or whatever it is they give. I don't know how they do it anyway. But vote for your conscience, and we will do it. We will take it back 1 inch at a time. So I'm optimistic. I know you will do yours, and I'll do mine. The lady who was very passionate about the salaries of reps. The size of reps is not the biggest problem. There is more waste in the executive, federal and state, than there is in any National Assembly or State Assembly. So if the executive gets its acts together, I think that then they will have the moral ground to impose on the National Assembly. So that really is not my real concern is about when you talk about education and salaries of professors and lecturers. I got an indication of what some professors make here, and it broke my heart. It's not enough. It's not enough for our government to give this institution an unfunded mandate. If you want students to have free education, which is laudable, then pay for it. But you cannot impose that payment, as we are doing now, on the faculty, because they are taking a huge sacrifice so that students can come here free, which is a good thing. If the government really believes its policy is for students to pay no tuition, then it should fund the universities appropriately so that the burden is not falling on the faculty. So I think that we need to address that first before we worry about the salaries of the National Assembly. We need them, with their big salaries, as you say, to tell the government either to fund properly or to have people pay fees. I would prefer the former. But the situation as we have it today is not sustainable. You will not retain the best minds in academia as you should. And the first question from the gentleman who says we need to have development first before we can even talk of sustaining them. You are correct. But how do we create development? It's by policy. It's by discussion. It's by engagement. The discussion about whether we should be saving today or for tomorrow's investment is a good one to have. But definitely, my adopted father here should not drive 3 hours from Onitsha to Enugu. The amount of waste that implies in human time and productivity is unbelievable. So I agree with you, we should start development, but we start it by discussion. We should have more like-minded people tell the government, we need these roads. And if you don't give us roads in 4 years, we'll throw you out. And quite frankly, I am amazed that we do not have a credible publication, and I think the universities may start this, that lists the 10 best governors and the 10 worst governors. Every 2 years, you list them. Because that's what they care about. They care about letting people vote them back in. Let somebody who is credible, who is not susceptible to influence or bribes, publish on a critical basis who is doing well and who is not doing well. Let's not wait for the president to evaluate his ministers. We can do it. This minister has done a bad job. That minister has done a good job. That way, we also have a voice in shaping policy. Thank you.
We take one from there. Who has the microphone? One from there. Nobody. Okay. One from in front of you. There's somebody there. Come up. Somebody's coming.
Thank you, Mr. Lecturer. all protocols observed. My name is Anokam Franklin. I'm a student. You're talking about sustainability. I think I want to draw my question from the developments in our states and maybe the federal. For instance, we see that every governor that comes in has a project, as in low-cost houses, all those industries and all those things. And at the end of the day, most of them are usually dumped either at the foundation or at the, good. Okay, good. Thank you very much. So then when the next government comes, the other government will start a new project altogether. By the time we count it 10, 20 years, we see that we have all abandoned projects or something like that. Then how do we sustain this when we talk about? I think what we should do is to ask our legislators or something like that. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. To make a law that ensure that every government has.
Yeah, thank you. You don't ask question and answer it yourself. No, one from the side. Okay, somebody's there. But after that other row.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for
We are not seeing your
the
face because of
lecture. Aside from the obvious problem of sustainability in our thinking, in our behavior. Okay, my name is Professor Peter Onyekwerebibo. I'm from the Department of Psychological Medicine, representing the Provost College of Medicine at this occasion. I would like to have your thoughts on entrepreneurship, risk, and sustainability.
This row here.
Our protocol. I'm Dr. Gabriel Okafo from Food Science and Technology Department, Faculty of Agriculture, UNN. My comment is on champagne and palm wine, which you observed in your lecture. In the department, we have the technology for mechanized tapping of palm wine. We've also extended that technology to tap multiple palm trees simultaneously, but it's not yet developed fully. The downstream product, the palm sap, the idea is to actually reduce or terminate fermentation so that you can now apply it to different products. And we've gone ahead to also generate products from palm sap, mixed fruit juice, blending it with different fruits. And you can also channel it into full palm wine, depending on desire. So back to your earlier comment on preferring palm wine and than champagne. So we are praying that if AMCOM, the 4 trillion, or I don't know, all those toxic money lying here and there, if we can will some to the department to develop that project. I promise that it will be sustainable.
My dear doctor, I have to take your comment/question first. You need to see me after this so we can discuss this. But let me make clear that's not AMCON's mandate. However, part of AMCON's mandate is to support economy. And what you're talking about, if you really can do it, has tremendous impact on the economy. And we really should discuss it because we do have contact with the banks, we do have contact with other investors, and so if this is possible, I can assure you today, either personally, professionally, one way or the other, you will get all the funding you need. And I do prefer palm wine, good palm wine to champagne. The other question, let me put on my glasses, is about risk and entrepreneurship as how that is consistent with sustainability. Risk is a part of